Everyone stand and we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Hello to everyone. My name is Patricia Jamieson, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Queen Anne's County. Welcome to everyone, and thank you for participating in this forum for candidates running for the school board vacancies. This forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Queen Anne's County in collaboration with Queen Anne's County TV, and we're so lucky to have them. The League of Women Voters was founded on February 14th, 1920, to prepare women to vote, because women hadn't voted before that time. But the 19th Amendment was passed, and so now women had the right to vote, but they hadn't voted before. So that was why the League was founded. And a lot of the suffragettes who were part of the movement then banded together and formed the League of Women Voters. We are a nonpartisan organization, and we're open to anyone at least 16 years of age. Men are very welcome. In fact, we have some men members here. Who are they? There we are. We have some men who are members. The founders believed that a nonpartisan league could provide education to the public to assure the success of democracy. Now, what does being nonpartisan mean? What it means is we don't support a specific candidate, and instead we allow candidates to present information in forums, such as the forum tonight, and through questions that are posed in the voter's guide. And we do have some voter's guides, and I hope you pick them up. It's really a very, very good document. Our league has been active since 2004, and we have one of the original members here tonight. Mary was part of the movement that founded the league. In fact, I think it's 2003 actually, Mary. Is it 2003, 2004? Okay. And we support the belief that democracy works best when voters make informed decisions. And holding forums and developing voters' guides are ways to do that. To learn more about our league, you can go to our website, lwvqac.org, where you will find a video produced in collaboration with Queen Anne's County TV entitled The Vote for Women that overviews the history behind the founding of the National League, as well as provides information about our league. We also post information about forums, as well as a copy of the voter's guide on our website. This information is also posted on Facebook. Thanks to Mary, who chaired our forum committee and made certain that candidates received invitations and information. You spoke to Mary quite frequently, didn't you? Or she emailed you quite a bit, didn't she? Yes, it's probably the most difficult thing in holding a forum is finding a time that all of the candidates are available. So thank you, Mary, and thank you, candidates. And she also made sure that the press was informed of the event tonight. And she developed the program. Gina Crook, who's sitting right here, is going to be one of our timers for tonight's forum. And again, George, thank you, and Queen Anne's County TV for helping us with this event. It's going to be live streamed. It's going to be on Facebook, and there will be a YouTube video that's available on YouTube after the forum. Thanks especially to all of you who are here tonight for being willing to serve our community and for being part of this forum this evening. And at this time, I'd like to turn things over to Barbara Sharkey, who will introduce the candidates and be the moderator for tonight's forum. Thank you, Barbara.
Well, thanks, Pat. So Pat's already mentioned that this forum is being videotaped and also live streamed by QAC TV to the QAC TV Facebook page and qac.org/live. At this time, please silence your phones and any other devices you may have with you. So this is a forum for two nonpartisan positions on the Queen Anne's County Board of Education, at large and District 1. When you vote, you will be asked to vote for one of the two candidates you will see on your ballot for each position. And they are seated here by position. So the candidates here tonight are Alexis Case and Kent Lang for the at-large seat, and Shannon Longbent and Chris Blanton for the District 1 seat. So the candidates have drawn numbers to determine the order of speaking, first by position and then by candidate within each position. So we are going to be alternating between them, so that not the same person goes first every time. So if it gets a little confusing, bear with us. The format for tonight's forum will be as outlined in the program. Each candidate will start with 2 minutes maximum for an introductory statement. The candidates will then each have 2 minutes maximum to answer the question they were given beforehand as printed in your program. The floor will then be open to questions from the audience. 1 minute to pose the question and 1 minute for each candidate to respond. I urge the audience to not go over 1 minute asking the question. And then we'll conclude with closing remarks from each candidate, 1 minute each. We anticipate the forum will conclude by 8:30. Our timers, Mary Campbell and Gina Crook, are sitting in the front row with signs to give 15-second warnings and then a red stop. Please hold your applause until the end of the forum to avoid using up the time. Thank you. All right, let's get started. So now the candidates will introduce themselves. Each has a maximum of 2 minutes. Per the drawing, we are starting with the at-large candidates, and Kent Lang is number 1. Kent?
Thank you very much. First, I want to thank the League of Women's Voters for having us again. Had us back in the primary and again here for the general election. And I know putting the events together isn't a small task, so thank you very much. Thank you for those that are here this evening. Thanks for those that are logged on. And even the ones that later will watch this, because if I saw at the primary, there was a lot of people that weren't necessarily with us that night, but did log on and watch over the course of the primary election time period. So thank you for taking that time. My name is Kent Lang. I am from Delaware originally. My wife has family here in Queen Anne's County that brought us here when we got married. She's a school teacher here at Kennard Elementary, and this is where we decided we wanted to raise our family. We have 2 now 11-year-old sons. They are twins that also go to Kennard. We somehow get that question a lot. Are they actually twins? So I have worked in the area with Camp Pacomath, running different types of programs pretty much since I was 16, and spent 11 years at Centerville United Methodist Church as the Director of Youth Ministries. I also have background working with at-risk and adjudicated kids, working for a company that was adventure-based that Queen Anne's County Public Schools had even partnered with in alternative education. And currently I work full-time operating a cemetery and working in the funeral service business on the Western Shore. Looking to make some changes and advance our school board and our school system. And I hope you all learn a lot about me tonight.
Thank you, Kent. Alexis?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you everybody who was able to join tonight, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting on this event so our community can come out and make informed decisions when it comes time to vote. My name is Alexis Case, and I am running for the at-large position on the Queen Anne's County Board of Education. A little bit about myself. I am the mother of a 9-year-old daughter who does attend one of our county public schools. I live on a horse farm with my husband and my daughter and an array of other animals. I work at Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control in a program that helps to keep polluted stormwater out of Delaware surface water. Some of my background is in agriculture, and I have a master's degree from North Carolina State University in animal science with a concentration in genetics. I have a bachelor's degree from Delaware Valley College in large animal science. Some of the reasons why I chose to run tonight, because I believe as parents we need to stand up and serve in our community and protect our most valuable assets, our children. Our local school board is supposed to represent the interests of these children and not the interests of the teachers' unions. We all have witnessed the lack of leadership, especially during COVID, and many parents, including myself, feel as though our voices do not matter. Parents want change but are too afraid to speak up because of fear of retaliation.
Let's get you another.
That one's live.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
It's going through to the stream a little bit, but it's not, the light's not coming on, so maybe we should do the stream. All right, might have to slide this way just a little bit. Sorry about that.
you're all right.
I want to move your sign over too, so I can pick up.
Is this one? Okay. Oh,
Is that one working?
that one
Good?
lit up then stopped.
Sorry, Alexis.
You're okay.
Or you, Alexis?
You're right the first time.
Okay to start again?
Yeah.
Okay. Start over from the beginning?
Yeah, cool. I don't think she's going to.
Oh, is it okay if I started from the beginning?
Sure.
Okay.
It was quiet, but
I don't know. Somebody looked, somebody said, yeah, okay.
Good.
All right. Good evening, and thank you to everyone who has come out tonight and is in attendance. And thank you to the League of Women Voters for putting on this forum so our community members can get an idea before they come to vote and make informed decisions. My name is Alexis Case, and I am running for the at-large position on the Board of Education. And a little bit about myself is I'm the mother of a 9-year-old daughter in Queen Anne's County Public Schools. I work at Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control in a program that deals with keeping polluted stormwater out of Delaware's surface water. I have a master's degree in animal science from North Carolina State University, and I have a bachelor's degree from Delaware Valley College in large animal science. Some of the reasons why I chose to run, because I believe as parents we need to step up and serve in the community and protect our most valuable asset, our children. Our local school board is supposed to represent the interests of those children and not the interests of the teachers' unions. We all have witnessed the lack of leadership, especially during COVID, and many parents, including myself, feel as though our voices are not heard and do not matter. Parents want change but are too afraid to speak up and say anything. And I witnessed this firsthand last night when a group of parents wanted to come tonight but were afraid to because out of retaliation of kids going back to school and having bullseyes put on their back because parents were to stand up and ask questions. This, I believe, needs to stop. No parent should be afraid to advocate for their child. This is the reason why I'm running. I'm not afraid to speak up and stand up for what is right. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexis.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to District 1 now, and first is going to be Chris Blanton.
I don't want to have to reset my time, I'm sorry. All right, good evening. Again, thank you for everyone for coming. My name's Chris Blanton. I'm running for District 1 seat. I'm a parent, a taxpayer, and a voter for Queen Anne's County. I'm here pretty much as a parent. Taxpayer as well, as I see where the funds need to be changed for the schools. I agree with Alexis on the school board's not listening, and that's what made me run. I've spent 17 years in public safety, and that's a little bit about myself, I guess. And I moved kind of from state to state. Both my parents were in the military. During COVID, the schools got shut down, masks were instituted, kids were not able to learn. The schools weren't prepared for it, and that's why I ran. They could have been prepared for it because they had plenty of time to be prepared for it. Our voices were not heard as parents, and that's why I'm running. I'm strictly running because our voices were not heard, and the voices of parents should be heard as they're the ones that have a vested interest. I have a preschooler and I have a third grader in school. So I have a long vested interest to make sure that they stay safe in school, they get a proper education, and they learn what they should be learning. So, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Shannon?
Good evening. My name is Shannon Longbent, and I am a member of the Board of Education, and I am running to keep my seat. I am as of October 31st, Halloween, I'm a 15-year resident of Queen Anne's County. My daughter started in kindergarten, graduated from Queen Anne's County High in June of 2021. Being on the board is a very difficult position. It is a volunteer position. You are here to serve children, make sure they get the best education possible. That is done by hiring a superintendent, running a budget, and making policies. Parents are a valuable input into that system. They need to work as part of the community with the Board of Ed to make sure that our children get the best education possible. Yes, there are a lot of things that happened during COVID. There are a lot of changes that were made, but we have to understand that that was one activity. There are many things that come with running the Board of Ed. I have a background in program management and systems engineering that allows me to work with the superintendent and her team to make sure that, one, we are solvent and have a good budget and can run our school systems the way we need to. It also helps me work with the public, with teachers, with our students, and do the best that we can to make them the best that they can be. It's not one item, it is multiple. You have to be able to put up with all the love you get from parents and everybody else in the community and keep moving forward. That's why I'm running to keep my seat. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Shannon. We will move on now to the prepared question, and the question is, what are the two most important actions you would want the school board to have accomplished no later than halfway through your term? Now we're going to switch sides again over here, and we'll start with District 1 candidates, and Shannon, you are number 1.
So I read over that question a number of times. When we got our new assistant superintendent, I was also asked that question, what are your top priorities? And I will tell you that they change. They change because children change. They change because the environment changes. One of my top priorities is CTE programs. This county prides itself on having students that graduate and are career ready. Not everybody is cut out for college, but we also have students that are fabulous at what they do, and they get lots of money to go to schools and do a college career. So, circling back to the answer, one of my top things is to make sure that this school system is CTE ready. There was a survey that was put out recently. We are number 3 in the state for having students that are career and college ready. That number needs to improve. Yes, we're number 3, but across the state of Maryland, that number is less than 60% of our students. When 60% of our students graduate from schools in the state of Maryland, they are ready for a college and career. Anything above and beyond that, we need to work on. My second priority is to ensure that our teachers are able to teach in a safe environment. Right now, they don't necessarily feel safe. They are the first line of defense for a lot of our students. And I understand that parents feel like they are not being heard, but there are lots of parents. We have over 7,000 students in this county. Not all parents step up and say what they need to say. And we need to represent all students, not just those with parents like me, like others, that will stand up and speak.
Thank you. Chris?
Thank you. It's really hard to stick to two main things that need to be changed in the school. So I can't, I have 3. So I do apologize. But the first thing in my mind is parental rights. Parents need to have a right and a say in their child's education, period. In their education, not in what the teachers do, not in certain things, but they need a right in their child's education and what goes on in the school. Okay? We're not, as parents, trying to tell people how to run the school, but they should have a right in what their kids, learn and et cetera. The other issue is staff retention. How do we keep our teachers? That's a major issue. We need to keep our teachers. You need to go to, and it's not just teachers, it's faculty members. How do we keep all members within the school and retain them, right? Hire, retain, and manage. How do we do that? How do we make sure they feel comfortable they want to stay? Why are teachers leaving? We should be going to the 20, 30-year vets and asking them, hey, why are you leaving? What can we change? What kept you here for 30 years? What's finally making you leave? That's very important. Stuff like that should be answered from the staff members, not from the teachers' unions. We should be going to the staff members and asking them how they actually feel. The other aspect is school safety, and that's the final one because I think that's one of the most important. School safety. We continue to talk about policies and how do we get policies? How do we use policies? That's not the problem. The problem is infrastructure. We need infrastructure in school safety. The staff don't feel safe because they're not safe. You can walk into the school just by walking into it. Yeah, we have police officers in there, but we need other aspects of safety within the school. I guess that's my time's up.
Okay. Okay, Alexis.
My 2 biggest priorities, and the 2 biggest priorities I've heard from going around and running a political campaign just by door knocking, parents to number 1, same thing, is parental rights and also school safety. So some of the things I've jotted down, just what I've heard from parents, some of the things that they feel that they have seen or some things that they would like to be expressed. So some parents, well, all parents would like to be provided with the student's curriculum. A lot of parents said they don't know what their students learning. What are their students learning for the year? They would just like a basic, even a common notice of lecture plans and what children will be learning. Parents do have the right to know what their children are being taught in schools, and most of these parents feel as though their rights are being taken away slowly. A couple talking points that they have found when it comes to parental rights and what they don't know about is some of the inappropriate health and sex education framework that has come down from the state. A lot of them weren't even aware that they could go on and find that online and were appalled at what they think is appropriate by age. Access to library info and titles of books that are approved to be in schools. Parents feel that some of the over-sexualized material, and I don't even allowed to say this on TV, some of the pornographic illustrations that are in these books are disturbing. I'd like to elaborate, but I don't know if I'm even allowed to say some of the stuff on Queen Anne's County TV. They are seeing that the parental rights are not being upheld, even in court. And in the state of Maryland and in Montgomery County, the parents' rights were not ruled in favor. The school board's rights were. So the school board is now prohibited, faculty is prohibited from disclosing children's pronouns or genders to their parents. These schools are overreaching, and these are the reasons why children are being pulled from public schools at alarming rates. Stop.
Okay, Kent.
So at the primary, the same question that was posed then, and the first one that I had was that we get to the point where in that first half that the missing step for our teachers that has not been there for a number of years was there. I don't think that can be the case anymore because of the new 2-year contract that did get approved and passed and accepted and ratified, all the good stuff that makes it official. So I'm not sure that that's going to be something that can happen in that first half because it would probably create some changes with the contract to be able to do that. But the second that I had at the time was to enhance our CTE programs. It's obvious that this county is a county that is going to require that. Our infrastructure, our people are here it's only growing. Drive around, there's a new neighborhood. With every ear of corn, it seems a new neighborhood is also put up. So we need people that can actually do those tasks. And if we only rely upon them to come from someplace else, we're doing our own county schools, our own county students a disservice by not making sure that they're better prepared, ready to go into those workforces and have careers and do what we need to be done in this county and not have to go someplace else to find that work when we're a booming county still in Queen Anne's. So the second that I would have, seems a common thing here, is our school safety. If we've learned anything, unfortunately maybe in the last year, is that our schools are not always as safe as we think. COVID let us forget that a little bit because we were focused on that as a singular aspect. And when we look through different aspects for the schools that I've seen, we need to do a better job. They're working on that with the new safety officer that was hired. But a main focus being put on how to make sure that all of our schools are safe.
Good, thank you, Kent. So now we'll move on to the audience questions. A couple of things I just want to ask you to do. Questioners should please come up to the microphone to present their question. Your question may be addressed to one or all candidates. If it's addressed to one candidate, the others will be given a chance to answer as well if they want to. When you come up, the questioner should identify himself or herself before posing the question and tell where he or she lives. The questioner has 1 minute to pose the question, and the candidates each have 1 minute to answer. Please be aware of the timers. Be aware of the timers, not beware of them. But you should be aware of them too. Mary and Gina, they will signal you that you have reached the end of the 1 minute. You have to ask your question, so please go to the question. Please do not use this as an opportunity to address specific personal situations, excuse me, but rather ask questions of more general interest to the public. Public exchanges such as this work best if a high level of civility and decorum is observed. So we will take questions until 8:15. If you have a question, come up to the podium, and if there's anybody else that has questions, please line up behind them so that we can move through them quickly. Anyone with a question? Go. Okay, good.
Hi, my name is Kimber Albright. I live here in Queen Anne's County in Graysonville. I have a rapid round of yes or no answers to each candidate. Do you believe that there are aspects of the children's education and aspects of the school day that should be kept from parents?
Please just go right down the line.
Not at all, no.
No.
Will you vote for or against masking of our students?
That's a past history thing.
So it's going to be like, oh, okay, so yes or no? If a vote were to, on your school board, if there's a vote, do you vote yes or no? Just super simple.
It's not super simple. We are a public school system that are funded by the state and local governments.
Okay.
We got mandates. If we didn't follow them, we wouldn't get funding. And while I don't know anybody in this room that could fund this school system by themselves.
I'm only asking what you would vote for, yes or no. It's
What I
okay.
would vote for is to follow the law so that we can continue to get the funding that we need to continue to educate our students.
Okay, so you'll vote in accordance with whatever gets the money. I understand.
Whatever is the law.
But it's not the law about how you vote.
It
was a mandate, not a law.
Yeah, and actually the vote for this county was done before any mandate. And Alexis, it was not a law, it was a mandate. So I'm just wondering, that's okay, I understand no answer. Mr. Blanton?
The answer for me is no, I would not force mask mandates. I would say if kids and parents want, I would not force mask mandates. I think if parents want their children to wear masks, then yes, they can wear masks. If teachers want to wear masks, yes, they can wear masks, but I don't think the teachers should also have to enforce mask mandates. As far as the law goes, as a representative, if the county did not want to, the constituents that we're supposed to represent did not want their children to wear masks, I would file a lawsuit if possible. I would file an injunction if possible to stop whatever illegal practices that the state may be doing. So the answer is no.
I wouldn't be for mask mandates at all if that ever came back into play. Again, they were mandates. They weren't laws. And I feel that the school board didn't do enough for our children. They didn't stand up. They didn't fight back. They could have filed a lawsuit, and they didn't. So no, I would not mask our children again. If you wanted to wear a mask, that's fine. I have nothing against your personal choice of wearing a mask.
Thanks for getting this one out early. It's a yes or a no. I mean, you're asking for a question that has no real answer
Correct.
to the facts of why would we have a mask on again.
Right.
You're making an assumption that it is
no.
COVID. No.
I'm sorry, this is not a back and forth. I'm just asking the question.
Okay,
Yeah,
1
I'm
minute,
just
so let me
wondering.
answer.
Well, this was like a wrap, like just
Okay,
a
but
yes or no.
That's kind of not how it was posed as the questions. I get a minute to answer
I-
the question.
I- Sure.
Ken
So
does.
you're making an assumption that the reality is that COVID would be the only reason.
No, actually, I
No?
didn't mention that at all. I'm just asking, would you
No, because it's asking
support
about
or
masking
not?
again, the
Would
reason
you
we haven't
support or
been
not?
COVID.
Okay,
So
I'm
for
just
me
gonna
to-
move on.
So for me to give a yes or a no.
This is from the moderator. That's nice. Real decorum.
Okay,
Actually not following the 1 minute, your
I
posture minute.
I requested, and
Let's
nobody
move
else had
on,
any
please.
questions. Okay, I would love to move on.
okay, let's let Kent finish his comment, his answer, and then you have one more? And then you have one more?
I represent a group, and I had asked if this was okay, and she said it was. Oh well, no, but do you have another?
I have some questions,
Oh,
yes.
okay, wonderful.
Finish your next one or whatever.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kent, why don't you finish your answer?
So you want a yes or no, but you have no idea why we would be wearing them. So how can somebody answer a question as to why you would say yes or no to something just based upon, I want the right to not wear a mask? I'm not going to.
I guess let me rephrase
It's still
the-
my minute.
I'm sorry, I'm being yelled at here. Here's my question.
I'm not going to go any more questions. You
Oh,
can
okay,
answer.
that's okay. You don't have to answer them. So, Miss Bent, given any situation where the schools would be shut down again, would you support or not support that? Just a yes or a no.
On the situation.
Okay.
You want a yes, once again. We have,
I
what happens
understand.
when it's snow? Are we supposed to leave schools open?
I'm
but that's the
asking.
point.
I'm asking just specifically what we had been through.
You were, right.
You know, yeah.
COVID?
With
Oh,
COVID?
sorry.
I mean, because I would support the fact that they were closed because we were trying to keep people alive.
That's a fine answer. Thank you.
I would not support closures because
Okay.
schools are the infrastructure of what we have in gas stations, grocery stores, police stations, fire departments. Everyone was still working and they managed to get along, but we didn't do what the base is of trying to learn and to get into life. So no, I would not support closures.
Thank you.
I would not support closures either. I saw the detrimental effects not only it had on my child with trying to do virtual learning, but other people's children.
So again, you're not going to get a yes or no specific because we have no idea why they would close.
Well, I appreciate your answer all the same.
Okay, thank you. Can I just ask everybody to make sure your microphones are working? Kent, yours didn't light up. No, I think this one over here is though, yeah. So if you can move it over.
Yeah.
I don't know if mine is working.
Batteries?
Okay. And identify yourself, please, and where you live.
Sorry. Just for the record, I can hear everybody fine. I'm not sure what's going on with the lights, but I can hear yours was off just for a minute, Chris, but I think you moved into it. And they do have mute buttons on them, so you gotta watch you don't lean on them because they have mute buttons on the bottom, but it's going out to the,
Oh, great.
internet, it's going on TV.
Thanks, George.
Good?
Yes, it's your minute.
My name is Denise Smith, and I live in Sudlersville. I am the mom of 4 students, 3 who are currently in Queen Anne's County High School, 1 who has graduated. I would like to know, what is your plan or blueprint for expansion of funding for students with IEPs and learning disabilities, and how leveled learners could be put in place? Also, on the backside of that, what would your plan be to include more enrichment and challenge classes for the gifted and talented students? These things that have been taken away over the last several years, how would you plan to implement them back into the school system?
Okay, and this is for everybody, so we're going to go back to our rotation, and we'll start with the at-large seat, and Kent, you'll be number 1.
Well, I think part of that is our blueprint is going to come from what the state's going to mandate with us, with the state's mandate with some of these things, because we're going to have to provide some of these services. As a spouse of a special educator teacher, I see the strain that the system in Queen Anne's has right now. We need more teachers to do that, to better reach each one of those students. Growing that department is got to be a key so that our special educators don't have 25 students on their books. There are legal requirements that all have to be there, whereas that's not necessarily the case in all of our classrooms for dates that letters have to be sent, dates that parents have to sign things, et cetera, that has to happen with special ed. And so they need to expand upon those times. Gifted and talented, we just need to vote it and get it done. What do we want to grow and do it? I'm getting the timer.
Alexis.
As a parent with a student that had an IEP in the past, I have saw, it wasn't in Queen Anne's County, it was in a different county. I saw that due to lack of funding and due to lack of staff and aides, the school system had a hard time putting things into place, and it was always of, oh, we have to go back and ask, we have to do this, we don't know if there's funding for that. So I think that would be, a major player when it comes to that, because from talking to parents, I've heard a lot of people talk about their students have disabilities, and some of the horror stories that I've heard, I can't even believe they're happening in the school and they're even acceptable. We had a mom show up last time at the school safety meeting and told everybody that she was asked not to bring her daughter in that day because she was disabled in a wheelchair and they were having active shooter drill, and there was no one to get her daughter out of the building. So things like that can't be happening. Was that a stop? Okay.
Okay, let's hear the District 1 candidates. Shannon?
So I kind of going to cheat a little bit because being on the board, I have a little bit of inside information. So the new law called the Blueprint, and it is law, has provisions for providing funding and staffing for both of those to increase challenging courses for our students, as well as addressing our shortages with regard to students with IEPs and the help that they need to get the curriculum that they need. It's part of the program where we are career and college ready for all students by the 10th grade.
Okay. Chris?
All right.
I'm sorry.
One more.
I thought I seen the red light. I feel like it was like my.
So I guess if it's law, it has to be put in. I will say that the schools need to do a better job. The school board needs to do a better job at funding. And when I mean a better job at funding, it's actually allocating the money that you have. The schools get roughly 60% of the county budget. We should be able to reallocate funds within that to ensure that we're sending money to where it needs to go and not just letting it disappear, because you're telling me on 60% of the county budget, you can't run a school, but on 40% of a county budget, you can run police, fire, corrections, public works, public roads, you can run all of this. So if it's law, it needs to be done, and as Alexis said, we need to have people that actually show up to work and make sure this stuff is getting done. Thank you.
Okay. Next up.
Hi, my name is Sharon Newsback, and I live in Stevensville, Maryland. And I'll just ask my question. I watch a lot of the Board of Ed meetings on YouTube and sometimes Facebook. I've watched a lot of them where there was a couple discussions about not knowing what collectivism is. I'm also a minority. My father came here from another country, so I do know what collectivism is. So teachers are promoting collectivism instead of individualism. What is your definition of collectivism, and would you support the current focus by the teachers' union?
And Chris, we'll start with you.
The definition of collectivism, I guess, would come out of the dictionary. I believe it's something along the lines of you're more focused on the group than the individual, so I guess the opposite of individualism. I think right now that in my opinion, as far as the teachers' union goes, I support unions in every aspect. I just think that they have a lane to stay in, and I think, unfortunately, the teachers' union has come outside of their lane at this point. Once they start getting involved in some of the politics that they start getting involved in, they're there to represent the teachers, their working conditions, their pay, how do we keep them, how to retain them, but we're losing teachers left and right. So they need to go back and focus on that and not focus on what the curriculums are, not focus on what child is using what bathroom. We need to go back to them focusing on who they're representing, which is the teachers. Thank you.
Shannon?
So that whole conversation was about teachers understanding their students. The point was being made that if you have a class and you have students in your class from other countries, other languages.
I'm from another country, so I know.
I get it, but can I finish?
I'm also American.
So if you have students that are from other countries, which we are starting to have a lot of students that are not American born, English is not their first language, the idea is that teachers would understand the history and the culture of those students in order to be able to connect with them. When you grow up and you make your way into the world, you usually thank a teacher that taught you. Well, if your teacher can connect with you, they can do that. So all of that collectivism and all that information was for teachers, not students.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
Kent?
You wanted the definition of collectivism. It is looking to try to put the focus of the group above yourself. Doesn't really sound that bad. Maybe if we cared more about our community and our people around us and not just what's best for me, we might work some things out a little easier. We might actually get along a little better. A little less hate. Might actually go a little bit of ways. There's a limit to that. But you could actually care about your neighbors a little bit more and not always be worried what's the best only for me. You don't have to agree with me as my answer, so
Don't agree with you
that's
at all.
good. That's fine.
Good.
What's
Collectivism
going
is
on?
socialism. That's
What's
what-
going on in our schools? You can't really speak to what the teachers are doing because it's not happening in the way that you are somehow hearing, somehow envisioning. That's not what the teachers are teaching. So, can't really speak to how they would stop that.
Okay, thank you for your question.
Oh, do I have one?
Oh, Alexis, sorry.
My definition of collectivism, again, would be putting a group's priorities first over the actual individuals within that group. Politically, we see that expressed as socialism. We see it expressed as communism and fascism. So when we look at it, it's kind of dangerous because it's, how do I put this? Because people tend to focus on things that are out of control, out of our control, such as a person's race, a person's creed, a person's nationality, and then people begin to obsess over these things. So I think that we should promote individualism. Children should be taught how to think, not what to think, and they should be able to express themselves as individuals, not within a group.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, great. Hi, I'm Kevin Valenti. I live in Queenstown. And thank you for your willingness to serve. The most important thing in a school system is children learning. I think we all agree on that. Research shows that teachers are the single most important classroom factor in learning and achievement. John Hattie summarized 1,000 research reviews of 50,000 studies that found the greatest influence on student achievement is the teacher in front of the classroom. They are the single biggest factor. Knowing that, it's more important than a textbook, a program, or a board policy for that matter. So what strategic policies do each of you have that you could adopt to retain the best teachers in our county, recruit the best around coming out of college, and keep teachers from switching jobs or switching counties? Thank you.
Okay, and we'll start with the at-large seat. And Alexis, you're number 1.
Back to what Chris said before with retaining teachers, I think we need to go to the teachers and sit down and ask, why are you leaving? You know, one of the biggest things is money. You know, you come out of school and you would like to maybe come back to your hometown in Queen Anne's County, but hey, you're getting a job in Anne Arundel making $15,000 more. How do we retain our teachers? How do we get them more funding? Another one you asked for, how do we recruit teachers? That's a big one. I have a lot of friends that are teachers, and the biggest thing is for most of them, job-wise, trying to find jobs within their hometown, around their hometown. I have a lot of friends that, you know, they have gone to other states, either because of funding, because of different schools they would rather work in. So I think the biggest thing with our teachers and the board need to sit down and work together and stop with this back and forth, and actually the board needs to listen to teachers, listen to parents. I think that's not being done. Stop. Okay.
Okay. Ken.
I'm going to guess that we're going to be in a lot of agreements here that funding is going to be the number one thing. I think personally, teachers have long been an underpaid industry because they don't get into teaching because they think they're going to get rich, that they're going to get famous, they're going to do all these things. They get into teaching because they really want to help students. And our county is much more funded than what our budget per teacher actually allows. We need to really put the pressure on our executive team to be going after those funds with our county commissioners. From a board point of view, from a parent point of view, from just a citizen point of view, really putting the pressure on that executive board that when they come around to negotiate, to talk, get numbers, is really putting on there. And if you can't just do it for a dollar amount, what other supplemental things can we better offering? The STEP, as I mentioned, is another option. If a teacher leaves Queen Anne's County, there are counties that touch us that will give them that STEP. Why stay? I can make it up by just going to another county and teaching. So we have to figure out the fundings to do it and giving them the support once it's there.
Okay, Chris.
So I guess it is, you know, we keep talking about pay. Most people don't leave for pay, right? You leave because of management. You leave because of your supervisor. That's why a lot of people leave. So how do we have better management within the schools? How do we work better with the teachers? How do we talk to, again, like I said earlier, those 30-year vets, those 20-year vets? Why did you stay? Because it wasn't for the money, because some people are going to leave for the money. That's inevitable. But you have people that stay here for 20 or 30 years. How do we keep them? How do we find out? Again, it goes back to, you know, hiring, recruitment, and retention. You know, we need to retain them. We need to hire them. But it's not just money. And we keep asking for more and more money when that's not how we're going to keep teachers. And if we use our teachers to go recruit, that's usually the best advertisement. Hey, it's great here. Come work here. That's usually the best advertisement. But if we have teachers saying, man, this place sucks and we don't get paid, then they're going to be like, I'll go somewhere else. But if they come here and say, look, the pay is okay, but it's really great to work for these people. And I will say with one quick, I think the superintendent just recently switched up a bunch of teachers. That's not good for morale if you just move people because they don't want to move to a different school. We should find out what's wrong with that school and why the other schools are good. Thank you.
Hey, and Shannon.
It's a holistic approach. It's not just about pay. It's not just about management. It also includes parents sending their children to school prepared to learn and behave themselves and do what they need to do. It is a complete, everybody, all hands in. Teachers are there to teach, but they are the first line of defense. If a child's having a problem, they're usually the first ones that notice it. Getting the support that they need from the board and the superintendent, that goes a long way. Pay, benefits, top of the list. But it also includes our community supporting our teachers, supporting our parents supporting our teachers, and our students coming to school prepared to do what they are supposed to be there to do, which is learn and get the job done.
Thank you.
Okay, 1 minute for your question.
Okay. Shall I say my name again, where I live?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Kimber Albright. I live here in Queen Anne's County. I don't think the yes or no's worked very well for some people, and in honor of wanting to just make things the form. How do you envision handling transgender children and restrooms?
And we're going to start with Shannon and District 1.
So as a board member, I don't envision handling anything. The board sets policies. We will have bathrooms for him, her, they, she. It is up to the superintendent, the principals, and the teachers to execute. People don't seem to understand what the job of the board is. The board has 3 distinct positions: hire superintendent, balance a budget, and do policies. Once those policies, the budget's in place, and those things are done, it is the superintendent's job and her team to execute. We don't, from what I hear, we don't have these problems right now, and the fact that people want to keep inventing them because they heard about them in other counties and trying to apply them here at Queen Anne's County is inappropriate.
Okay, Chris, what's your answer?
Thank you. If we're creating policies, then I think we are kind of creating what we would do with these individuals. I think everyone in the school should be treated equally by common sense learning and a common sense approach. You have
What does that mean? I'm sorry.
You have a male bathroom and you have a female bathroom. That's what you have. That's what you use. If students feel unsafe in a certain bathroom, I'm pretty sure there's a nurse's bathroom that they can go use that is an individual bathroom, and I think that's sufficient for them to be able to use that one. But my opinion is male bathroom, female bathroom.
Kent.
Again, kind of like Shannon said, I'm not going to be handling any student. But the issue does come up. There's the concerns of parents, rightfully or wrongfully, if that should really be a concern or not. Not necessarily for me to judge. If it's a concern, it's a concern on both sides of the fence of families that have students that are transgender and parents that are choosing to whatever they're not. Students should be allowed to utilize the bathroom that the gender that they are registering in school. If that is an uncomfortable location for them, then it is on us as a school, as a district, to be locating other options for them.
We actually do have other options.
Okay, Alexis.
No, I do not believe that girls should be using boys' bathrooms or boys should be using girls' bathrooms. Like everyone has said here, if a student feels uncomfortable with using a certain bathroom, then if there's alternative bathrooms such as the nurse's office or elsewhere they could go, then that's fine. But no, I do not think they should be using it. It's just not a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
name's Richard Albright. I have property in Stevensville and in Graysonville. I've been in this county a long time, and my question is, what would you all do to keep our students safe in schools?
Okay, we're going to start with the at-large seat again, and Kent, you're number one.
That's a big question. I don't know that I'll get it all in the 1 minute that I'm allotted there.
Try your best.
I will. The biggest thing on there is that we need to look at our infrastructures, expedite where we can find funding to adjust those structures. We have portables that are at risk in multiple ways. We have schools that are not single entry points that still need to be addressed. They're on lists. I've spoken with Sid. I have not, unfortunately, spoken with the new safety director, but just before he was hired, I did speak with Sid. There is a list. There is working towards it. Ultimately, it comes down to those funding numbers to be able to do it. Not that that's necessarily a good excuse, not my excuse, but is finding the right fundings to be able to do those is a high priority part of keeping our students safe within the schools from those threats that can come in. I'm getting the timer, so like I said, a minute's a tough one, but I can gladly expand upon that on my website if anybody would like that.
Alexis.
Safety. That seems to be the number one priority of everybody. I feel as a community, we need to stop being reactive and be proactive here. At the school safety meeting the other night, there was plenty of opinions and facts and everybody working together with an open discussion. And number one thing is funding. We don't have the money. Where's the money? But it seemed to be that funding was an excuse after excuse. There's always money somewhere. You just have to go out there and find it, whether it be grants, whether it be SQR. I've never seen a note come home asking us parents, hey, we're trying to work on a safety project at school. Would you mind donating? Because I would gladly donate money, as I'm sure many parents out there would if they knew their children were being protected. I also feel that I am not for police reform, because for police reform, they want to reallocate the $10 million for school resource officers into other programs.
Okay, Shannon.
So one of the things that we've implemented is that there's a resource officer in every school. As Kent Lang said, on our budget, there are vestibules that are being outfitted with lock-in, lock-out areas so that people can't just walk into schools, and we prioritize them so that we can work our way through them. It is a budget thing, but it is being addressed. There's also training that is being done with teachers and students. One of the things that happened at the back-to-school kickoff for teachers, Sheriff Hoffman was there with reporting and letting us know there was a video that he showed so that teachers understood what we are up against. And then there was an identification of a building where even though the door keeps getting closed, it keeps getting propped open. So they were all aware of it. It's on everybody's mind, and we're all working towards it. So there's a lot of fronts that are being done to improve school safety.
Okay, Chris.
So yes, the sheriff was put in a school that should make everyone feel safe, but unfortunately they're there to minimize damage. That's what the sheriff is there to do, minimize damage. How do we stop the damage from happening? Infrastructure. We need infrastructure in our schools for school safety. 1764 is the first documented school shooting. 1764. Predates America's independence, yet here we are still talking about school safety and how do we pay for it. The last school meeting I went to, they said, I think the superintendent said, well, we have brick and mortar, that's not really outfitted, they were built in the 50s. 1764, brick and mortar is great for taking rounds, all right? You're not gonna get a round through a brick and mortar. Infrastructure is what we need. We can have policies all we want and tell people to keep doors shut, but if all we're doing is having a little crappy door that you can kick open or you can break out a window and open up, that doesn't do anything. We need more infrastructure. The sheriff is there. That's a great thing. But again, he's there to minimize damage. We need better policies and better infrastructure. And as far as money goes, I'm sure they have money because they said 5 years ago they were talking about putting bulletproof ballistic film on the windows. That was 5 years ago. It's still not there. There's money. It needs to be found.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Hi, guys. Kimber Albright, Queen Anne's County. And just to be clear for my these amazing people who are running for school board, these are questions from a large group of parents, although I am curious about them all, as I'm sure many people here are too. So thank you guys for your acceptance of the questions, me being the messenger. Next question is, do you support critical race theory being taught in our school to our students?
And we're going to start with Chris.
COVID was devastating. A lot of learning was lost. We don't need to be instituting new curriculum for a curriculum that we already have. We already teach the history of racism in America. That needs to be continued to be taught, but we don't need to institute new curriculums into our schools.
Shannon.
Critical race theory is a topic that is taught in college if you are there for your master's degree or your doctorate degree. It is not taught in K through 12, and it is not taught in an undergraduate course. So unless we somehow are having some really smart kids that are in for their master's degree or doctorate degree, it's not something we have to worry about.
Well, it is being taught in schools. It has been.
It is not being taught in Queen Anne's County schools. There's not a teacher teaching that in this public school.
I'm sorry. I just want to let you know that I had kids in the school system. It is.
Kids,
I'm sorry that you don't. I understand you're saying you don't know that, but I just don't want people to get confused who are hearing this because it is
critical race theory in Queen Anne's County. And
I understand that's your opinion,
it is not a K through 12
but as a parent, I've
curriculum.
seen it. It's just it's in there.
Okay,
So.
let's, Alexis, would you like to answer the question?
Sure. No, I do not believe critical race theory should be taught in our public schools. It's a divisive Marxist ideology, and all it does is divide us as people. Number one question I got from parents who are coming in for early voting: where do you stand on critical race theory? Do you think it should be taught to schools? No, I do not. If anybody has time to check it out, a gentleman gave me his card when he came in to vote. He works with Project 21, a Black leadership network organization out of DC. If you have time, Google them because they have some interesting facts and information on their website.
That was Project 21?
Yes, Project 21.
Okay.
Kent.
No, we shouldn't be teaching upper level college courses in our public schools. But we also don't have that curriculum because it doesn't exist for our public schools. So wherever you feel like it is, number one, we probably should all get together sometime with a good meeting.
That would be great.
And define what everyone actually thinks CRT is. Because I have a big feeling that a lot of people would have a true struggle to fully understand what CRT actually is. Two, it's not happening. There's not the curriculum there to do it.
Do you know that? Well, I'm just confused because you're not on the board right now. And just as a parent, it's been really difficult, in fact, impossible in most instances to even get my hands on curriculum for like what my kids were learning. And it was through COVID and being at home and being on the computer and hearing, the things that are being taught to kids. And then, lots of other things. But it is a concern, and it has been taught. And, I understand you're on the board.
Okay, yeah, well, I think this needs to go to later. You can talk to the board if you want.
All right.
Thanks. And next question.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Brady, and I live in Churchill, Maryland. I have a daughter who just graduated from Queen Anne's County High School and another daughter who is in 10th grade. And my question is this. Parental rights have been mentioned several times tonight. How will you advocate for and respect the rights of all parents and not just the ones that agree with you? And for example, in our family, we encourage our children to take any book out of the library they want to, listen to any song they want to, and we talk about it. They have to know, you take a book out, you talk to us about it, no matter what the topic. Same thing with the music. We support My Parental Choice is they have access to a broader library, not a censored one. So how would you propose to listen to the diverse views of parents and not just those that agree with you?
Okay, thank you for the question. Alexis?
If we're talking about certain books in our library, I had no idea a certain book that is in our library. I don't even know, am I allowed to say this on Queen Anne's County TV?
Say what?
The name of the book and what kind of illustrations were in
Yeah,
it
sure,
that
go
I saw
ahead.
from a parent. Genderqueer. Have you seen what kind of pornographic illustrations are in there? Because my mouth about hit the floor. And it's going to make you really uncomfortable when a parent showed me what was in their child's school. I had no idea something like that could even be approved by the Board of Education, let alone parents don't know it's in there. Pornographic material that is in there.
Did you want me to answer? You asked me.
I'm just saying I was appalled at what was in there. So for parental rights, I feel that one of the major issues is because parents don't know what their children are learning. They don't know what they have access to. And I'm getting told to stop, so.
Okay. Kent.
So parental rights is a big thing that is beyond just even the books in our libraries or in our classrooms, and it's obvious that that's an important part of making sure that our parents have a vested interest and a participatory part in our classrooms and in our schools. When it comes down to the books, it's a very tough line as far as that. First thing is to your question of how do you deal or communicate and work with parents that might not have the same thought process or values or whatever word I forget that you used there. But as a board member, you have to be able to listen to everyone regardless of it. Listening is an important skill to be able to actually do. It's then taking what's the best interest that you feel into those policies and procedures. I'm not much for book banning, but things need to have in its appropriate place, appropriate time, appropriate age levels on things. And if it's in our libraries, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to see it and take it out. It's not required.
Okay, Chris.
Thank you. I agree with your right to, if you want to show your kids that, it's fine, show your kids that. If you want your kids to watch rated R movies or rated X movies, if that's what they pull out of, and you say, just talk to me about it, by all means, you can do that in your own home. I don't think that should be instituted into the school. The school should be age appropriate. That's my opinion, age appropriate. So when you have guidelines already on it, PG, PG-13, rated R, stuff like that, that should not be allowed into the school if it's not age appropriate. So, but if that's what you want to do at home, that's what you do at home, but it should not be brought into the school as it's a public school, right? Everyone has to go to this school that can't afford to go to a private school where they have stricter, policies. So we have to be able to accommodate for all kids. And I think some parents are more strict than others, but there needs to be a common ground in the middle that is age appropriate for everybody. Thank you.
Okay. Shannon.
So to answer your question, creating advocacy groups, which we have. There's a parental advisory committee and there's also a community advisory committee. I would invite anyone, any parent, any community member to join those committees, to work with the Board of Ed, to work with the executive team under the superintendent, to talk about those types of questions. We do need to have the voice of all parents. I will say I have always been a very loud parent. I can just tell you our Churchill Elementary School principal was sick of looking at me. But I would come in and voice my opinion, but mine wasn't the only one that needed to be heard. And we need to talk about all of our students and not just a small few. So once again, these advocacy groups that we have, join them. Join the PTA. Make your voice heard, and then we can talk together to answer these questions.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay.
Denise Smith, Sudlersville. Again, as the mom of 4 teenagers at this point, one who has graduated but blazed her own trail and created a culinary pathway for herself, who has now 1 year after graduating Queen Anne's County High School, has graduated from the culinary program at Anne Arundel because of dual enrollment and things that were available to her. I understand now there is a culinary program available at the school, but I currently have 2 students in CTE programs at Queen Anne's County High School. My question is, for you personally, what is your plan and how do you plan to help increase the trade programs and implement new technologies into the ones that we have? And also, what would your plan be for expansion of CTE programs for different options and things that are more current in the time that we live in?
Okay. And Shannon, you're number one on this.
So the first thing would be to work with our, so we have an advocate who has been brought in to help partner our students with local businesses. Her job is to find businesses that will allow for internships and working with our students to help promote their CTE progress. Also working with our teachers. I understand that we've had a fundraiser going on for one of our programs to make sure that we have tools for our students so that when they are done with their CTE program, they can pass the certification test. And when they graduate, they are now certified to be an auto mechanic, a welder, cosmetology, whatever. So my plan would be to continue to work with those programs, those teachers, and the community and our advocate to just improve those programs, get the word out, let people know. Keep moving forward.
Okay. Chris.
Thank you. If they're already in place, we should be enhancing them. I think too often the schools have been pushing for kids to go to college, and I think we've discussed how some kids just don't go to college. It's not for them, right? They can get out and they can make a great living doing a lot of things that people at college, they'll go and they'll spend their time there and do that. We have to figure out how to get those kids right into the workforce. So we need to work with parents and teachers because everyone has their different ideas, but you got to work with everyone to find out what the best ideas are and put them together and collaborate together. I also think it's important that when you have certain things, I know like the school had shop, and I was talking to an employee that had recently retired, and they had stuff in the classroom that was unsafe. Saws and stuff like that were unsafe, and he told them about them, and then he was transferred and someone else took the job. So things like that need to change too, where we just push stuff under the rug. We actually need to identify the issues to make things better, not just hide things. And I think we do that too often on the school board, is hide things.
Okay, Chris. Kent.
First thing we need to do is make sure we're identifying all what those needs are with what our programs are, is make sure that are we fully equipping our classes that we have going on now properly, rightfully, and if not, figure out what funding availabilities there are, if it's smart use of money, if it's more money, if it's fundraising opportunities to fill in the holes, and do them, and actually then use those funds and track them down to make sure that what we have in our programs can actually be all run at high quality, high safety, high learning for our students. And then also talking with those parents, talking with the students, what other programs do we want? And how do we go about them? Is there enough students to actually have a program in that? Is there the more ability to reach into our Kent Island high school area and enhance some of their CTE options down there that they're not necessarily having to be bused to Queen Anne's to get through them all?
Okay, and Alexis.
Well, this is one topic we all agree on. We need to definitely enhance and put more funding into our trade programs. I'm a huge advocate for trade programs. Kind of a little bit of mix of what the three previous candidates have said. When I was in school, we had a huge community involvement with our trade programs. We had, I don't even know, 30 to 40 businesses that partnered with the school, whether it be from mechanics to culinary, to newspapers, to IT, to get those kids in there and get them the skills they needed, get them internships. And most of them even had programs for when you graduated college, you could come right out. And if you had worked with that business originally, pushing more money into getting kids to be able to get the skills they need if they don't want to go to college, to come out and have a job right out of high school.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Sherry Valenti. I live in Queenstown, and I'm a Queen Anne's County High School graduate, and I've lived here for a good part of my life, and I'm also an employee of the school system. I'm a teacher, and I'm very, very proud. My mom was a teacher here too, so I'm very proud of our school system. And I think my question was kind of similar to a previous question, but it goes around compromise. I feel like, growing up, our school system was very strong, and we didn't. Everyone was proud of our schools, and we didn't really know, politics wasn't really involved with the Board of Ed, and there was a lot of trust and unification around our schools. And I feel like that's something that we need to really get back to as a parent, too, of 2 children in the school system. So what is your plan to kind of unify, compromise all of our residents in the county, all of our parents, all of our staff, our community, to kind of get our school system back on track and make it the best that I know it can be?
Okay, Kent.
That's a big one, because it's not just a school system differences that I think are pulling people apart all the time, but the first step with all of it's got to be to listen and at least hear what all sides, as much as you can, are bringing to the table as far as concerns, ideas. And not let a preconceived, okay, this person has necessarily had an idea that's counter to what I feel in my gut is the right answer. Listen, and not just be like, well, their last 3 ideas were just, I'm not even going to pay any attention. I'm just going to roll them out before I've even heard. Because, there's times that it's going to be the right way to go. And, I can learn from there.
Okay, Alexis.
Communication, communication, communication. I feel like we don't do enough talking. Number one complaint I've heard from parents, and I've seen it myself, is during COVID, contacting people on the Board of Education. You get no reply. They can't even answer an email back. They can't call you back. People feel unheard, no matter what it is. At least give someone the common courtesy to listen, to voice their concerns, call them back. It's the biggest pet peeve, people not listening to anybody else. I mean, we all sit up here and you all see we all have opposing views, but I would hope that in the long run, we all have the same goal in mind, is our school system and our children and getting there. How are we going to get there? I mean, just like tonight, there's how many people in the room? Maybe 20? Like, where are all these parents at? Come out. They all want to voice their concerns, but they don't come out and stand up. And I think the biggest thing, they're afraid to. They don't want to be retaliated because, I have different views than Ken, or Shannon, or Chris has different, we all have different views, but I think we all need to communicate. Sorry, stopping.
Okay. Shannon.
Yeah.
Trying not to get in trouble, I think we should blow up Facebook. If we get back to talking to each other and having conversations, and like Alexis just said, we have over 7,000 students in our school. Where are their parents? Why are they not here? Why are they not asking questions? Why are they not participating? I will tell you, for the 13 years my child was in school, we had a mom that every time she called, after the first 4 phone calls, I started cringing and I almost didn't answer the phone anymore, because it was a call to action where we were going to be somewhere doing something, fundraising, parking cars, cooking hamburgers, but we were participating and we were involved. And that's what we need. We need for parents and students to participate. When my daughter graduated, her class, the whole 4 years they were in high school, they were number 1 with the float because they showed up, they participated, they put their time in. We need more of that in our community.
Chris.
Listening and follow through. I called the school board a couple times during COVID, and I was hung up on multiple times and disrespected. I can only imagine what the employees go through if that's how me as a taxpayer, voter, parent, and someone that actually elects these people into office, how they get treated. I think the employees should be treated probably a lot better if that's how they're being treated. You said that Queen Anne's County school system was great. Well, it was great, and they weren't getting paid that much, but they came. Why? Because they wanted to teach. Again, how do we reach back out to all staff members, especially the lower level, to find out what needs to be changed, what action needs to be done, and actually do it? Not just say, hey, that's a great idea, we should work on that, and then it goes away. And if you work for government, you already know what I'm talking about. That's what they do. It goes away. We need to figure out how to actually work and implement things that the staff members say, hey, look, this is what works. This is what keeps people here. We shouldn't just be transferring teachers around. We shouldn't be doing this. We want to make people happy to work here. People want to be happy to go to work. They don't want to go to work waking up in the morning, oh, God, not again. right? We want to go to work and we want to be happy there. So I think that's how we do is communication.
Thank you.
Yep.
No, we have time for one more.
Hi, I'm Kristen Schnekel. I also am a resident of Queen Anne's County. I have worked here since 1996, and all three of my children have gone through Queen Anne's County schools. And I'm probably going to get a little emotional here. Our school system is good. Our teachers work their butts off. My colleagues work their butts off. CRT is not being taught in our schools. I have a 21-year-old, I have a 17-year-old, and a 15-year-old. No issues whatsoever. Curriculum can be found on Schoology. You can go to the MSDE website. I think the problem with retention of teachers is this. The rhetoric that is out there is wearing us down. The disbelief that we are indoctrinating children, that we are teaching them things that you don't want them to be taught, is not happening. And it's very sad to me that this rhetoric keeps getting spun and spun and spun. Volunteer, come in the classrooms and see what's going on. That's what has to happen. And
do you have a question?
I want to know how you are going to retain teachers when this rhetoric is constantly being spilled out. How are you going to retain teachers with this? All of you, I'd like your response, please.
Okay, Chris, let's start with you.
Okay, so I guess one more question real quick. How long have you been there?
I've been here since 1996.
No, how long have you been teaching for?
Since 1996 in this county.
Okay, so, I know. So my question would be my thing would be to come to someone like you. If I was elected to the board, is to come into the school to someone like you. If you've been here for since 1990.
That would be wonderful.
Since 1996.
We don't have board members that ever do that. So that would be wonderful.
Let me tell you something. You can talk to anyone in my neighborhood, anyone that I've talked to. The first thing that I would want to do is go to all these schools unannounced and actually talk to teachers. I don't want a principal, I don't want administrators saying, oh, go talk to this teacher. No, I just want to pick people to talk to. That's what we should be doing.
And I think that's great, but you can't just come in and disrupt a classroom.
Oh, no.
You can't just come into a classroom
during class.
and
not during
chaos.
class, but that would be.
To have forums, to have open forums of where the board member comes around to each school and meets with teachers after school hours.
I also think, unfortunately, some teachers will feel like they might be retaliated against if they come and speak. Some of them may feel retaliated against if they come and speak. I don't think they should feel that way. I think there should be open forums where people can come and speak,
absolutely.
But also one-on-one, because you may give a different opinion. Unfortunately, sometimes you get the group approach where one person said something, everyone's like, yeah, but other people feel like, well, maybe this could be different. And that's, I really want to work with people to find, especially all staff, right? Especially if you've been there since 1996, what kept you there? That's what I want to know. And obviously with how you've asked these questions, doesn't sound like you want to be there much longer. But
okay,
that's just,
that's great. No, that's good. You're a good intercourse,
I have to say,
but
though,
we need
that's
to
not true. I
move
do
on.
love my job and I do want to be here. I just would like the rhetoric to stop because it's killing the morale of our teachers.
Correct.
It's killing them.
Okay, can we hear the comments from the rest? Shannon?
Second time this week I've heard it about the rhetoric, about teachers not feeling comfortable in disciplining students because they feel like they're going to be retaliated against. Students behaving badly because they know that they can get away with it, because they learn at home that parents don't have respect for teachers, and so that trickles down. We need to get back to, like I said earlier, supporting our teachers, parents stepping up, working with the school system, working with our teachers, showing a united front and showing our kids how to behave. Since we got back from COVID, most of the problems that we had were all those kids that stayed home and could not transition and come to school and do what they are supposed to do. Their job is to come to school, learn, and be disciplined. And we lost a lot of that.
It should be a partnership. You're absolutely right.
It should be a partnership.
Okay, Alexis?
I have a kind of a question to ask you back.
Sure.
When you guys, I see you all the time, you're all at the board of...
all of us all the
The
time?
teachers, sorry. At the Board of Education meetings, voicing your concerns, telling stories. When you guys are there, do you ever get any feedback from the Board of Education? Does anybody ever call you and talk with you? Does anybody ever call you back and say, hey, you said this, can you elaborate more?
I've never personally gotten up and spoken at a board meeting, but when Dr. Williamson was our superintendent, she did forums, and we would go and meet as teachers, and we felt very comfortable talking to her about, you know, what the issues were at school, what needed to be fixed. We had zero problems with that.
Okay.
I can't speak for everyone, and I don't think you can say
Kent's
everyone.
there a lot, so do you get feedback? Does
I
your
have,
wife get
yes.
feedback?
I have.
Is it, are you getting what you need, or is it a runaround question?
No, I feel pretty strong that I've gotten what I need. I've gotten answers from multiple board members at different times that I've asked questions, and understood a lot more of what the actual abilities that the board has and doesn't have in responding to that.
Okay. That was just one part of my question. The second part is I've seen so many, my daughter goes to Sellersville Elementary School, so many frustrated teachers, and it kind of goes back to what Chris said with management and administration and what comes down on their end. And like Shannon said, we see how children behave. Are these teachers being backed up? Are these kids who are causing problems? And, you know, I know we have an anti-bullying policy.
Sure.
But then we turn around and, I mean, every time you turn around, there's a new video on social media of kids getting attacked, teachers getting attacked. I mean, do teachers feel safe?
I think there are some that don't feel safe. I taught in an early elementary school, so it was a little bit
We
different.
have one more answer. Let's hear what
Sorry,
Kent has to say.
We can talk after.
You can all have a coffee clutch later. Kent.
I think it's really imperative as a board, as an executive board, as leadership within the schools, co-teachers, parents that choose to get on board with understanding that the rhetoric is from a minority. And they're a loud minority, but they are a minority. And there are a lot of more people out there that support our teachers. They might not voice it. That's usually how, unfortunately, the squeaky wheels get the most attention aspect of life works. For our teachers to understand, there is a lot of support. You might put up with the pay when everything else isn't there. When you're not asking to defend your students' lives, when then you're also being told that you don't know anything with your highly qualified status. There are a lot of people that support the teachers. It needs to be a more united front from the board, from the executive team, to the management, the principals down, to let you know that they are there.
Thank you.
Great. Oh, thank you for the questions. The great audience. We are approaching the hour of 8:30, or the time, and so we will move on now to the candidates' closing statements. You'll have 1 minute each to say kind of whatever you want to wrap up and why anybody should vote for you. And we're going to start with Shannon.
My kids. I am in this for the long haul. I am in this because I believe that our children deserve the best education that they can get. Queen Anne's County is a wonderful county to live in, grow up in, and learn in, but it is not the only county. I want our children, when they leave this county, to be able to function, to be able to hold conversations, to excel, and just be the best that they can. And then bring that knowledge, bring that experience back, and help us improve this county and make it better. That only happens with dedication. That only happens with stepping up and putting in the time and the effort. And yes, you get lots of lovely emails and phone calls. You take it, you keep going, because you know that the ultimate goal is to have the best education for our students.
Thank you, Shannon. Chris.
Thank you. If elected, I will listen and act. It's not just going to be a listen, think about it, wait till the next election, and then talk about it again. I will listen and I will act. Schools need to be safe. I will act on that. We will actually get our schools safe. The teachers, the schools, you know, we keep talking about how they're great, and then we keep talking about how it seems like they're going downhill, but we want them to be great. We should keep them great and find out how to maintain that greatness of our schools. We can't just keep talking about it. We got to make moves on it. Find out why people are leaving. Find out why people are upset. Find out, you know, keeping our kids being able to learn and being in it for the long haul. I as well am in it for the long haul. I have a preschooler and a third grader. So I have a extreme vested interest in the school system, making sure that, these kids get the education that they need, and making sure that the teachers want to be there and they want to teach, and they're not just there for a paycheck, or they're not just there because they're ready to go. We want to make sure people want to be there too. Thank you.
Great. Alexis?
Thank you. My number one reason for being here right now is our children. Not my children, your children, everybody's children. I would like to be an advocate for not only parents, for teachers, for staff, for our citizens, our community, everybody. I would like to have open discussions with people, and if people feel, they would like to reach out, let you know that I will call you back that day. The next day, email you. I am here to listen. I'm going to speak up for what I feel is right. I'm going to listen to parents. And like I said in the beginning, the number one reason I'm here is for our children. Thank you.
Kent?
So I think you should vote for me because I'm going to be balanced. It's not going to be one way or the other. It's going to be a listening. It's going to be an equal opportunity to share. I'm not going to always side with one side or the other. When you drive around the county and you see my signs around, take a look at where they are at. They're all over. They're at farmers. They're at business owners. They're at high-paying white-collar jobs, at low-paying blue-collar jobs, everywhere in between. It's a wide expanse of people that I've had supporting me through this election time, and I'll continue when I'm on the board to make sure that all of our students are given the best opportunities to grow and learn.
Okay, that concludes our forum. Thank you so much, candidates. Congratulations to you all for running, taking the time to do something good for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience, for the wonderful questions that you had. Thank you, Queen Anne's County TV, for making this available to not only those who are sitting in the audience, but those who are at home watching it also. And don't forget to vote.
Don't forget to vote.